In August 1946, more Viet Minh infiltrated Xiên Quan Province and Xiên Quan Town and set up a resistance committee of eastern Laos. On August 27, 1946, a draft of a joint commission of French and the Kingdom of Luang Prabang relationship was proposed by the French to the King of Laos, King Sisavang Vong. After the French fully took control of Laos, the Lao Isara and Phaid Lo Blayo and his Hmong troops fled to Vietnam and found support from the Viet Minh. In Vietnam, Phaid Lo Blayo and his Hmong troops actively conducted cross-border attacks against the French and Tu Bi Li Phong followers. With the constant attacks from Phaid Lo Blayo and his Hmong troops, Tu Bi Li Phong decided to go on the offensive and lead his own Hmong troops into Vietnam and attacked Phaid Lo Blayo and his Hmong troops at Muang Sen and drove them deeper into Vietnam. By this time, all of the members and princes in the Royal Lao that oppose against the French have been exiled from the country, leaving only those who supported the French to be in power in the Royal Lao. In December of 1946, Maurice Gautier, in frustration and anger with the French higher-up decision not to support the Hmong with opportunity and school education, decided to resign from the French military. Maurice Gautier will go on to be a private contractor truck driver, delivering stuff for the French military in South Vietnam and in Cambodia. It was one of the most dangerous jobs, because these supply truck would get attacked nearly every day, but the job pay extremely good money. Maurice Gautier will later return home to France, and got married, settle down, and go on to open a family-owned jewelry store. On May 15, 1947, Lao King Sisavang Vong officially promulgated the establishment of the Laos constitutional monarchy within the French Union, and the Royal Lao government was officially created. The new Royal Lao Kingdom consisted territories from the Kingdom of Luang Prabang, the old territory of the Old Kingdom of Vientiane, the territory of the Kingdom of Champasak, the territory of Xiên Quan from the Phuan people, the territory of Huaphan from the Vietnamese, and the territory of Saburi from Thailand up to the Mekong River. Lao King Sisavang Vong also moved from his ancestors' capital of Luang Prabang to the capital of Vientiane, and made Vientiane the new capital of his new Kingdom of Laos. The capital of Vientiane was also a larger and nicer capital compared to his family capital in Luang Prabang. Laos King Sisavang Vong also called for the integration of ethnic minority into the new system, giving the inhabitants chance to manage their own affairs in their local communities. Laos was divided into 16 provinces, with each having their own head governor that will be appointed and removed by royal decree, and in each province there will be several districts headed by a mayor that's nominated by the governor and confirmed by the Minister of the Interior, while a district was further subdivided into 2 or 3 regions, with each region having their own leader that's assigned by the mayor that will work with the mayor administration, and within those regions it gets divided down even more to a head chief tassing that's appointed by the multiple different villagers' lower chief and confirmed by the provincial governor. Then it gets even more divided down to the villagers itself, and in each village there's a chief that's appointed by the villagers and confirmed by the mayor. Tu Bi Li Phong was appointed as a mayor representing the Hmong population, and deputy of the governor of Xiên Quan. Under the new govern system, it opened up more sub-district that allow more Hmong to have the opportunity at the tassing position, and 2 Hmong regional leader position was made. Tu Bi Li Phong half-brother Tulia Li Phong became the Constitutional and National Assembly, while another of Tu Bi Li Phong half-brother, Tuju Li Phong, was appointed to the King's Council. Tu Bi, Tulia and Tuju were all chosen at the last minute by the Royal Lao, because there was no other qualified Lao that they could find to fill up the position, and was also thanks to the French pressure. The 3 brothers will go on to encounter hatred and discrimination by other Lao leaders. The Lao imperial monarchy also gained control of its own budget, and took control of the opium sale from the French, and continuing the opium trade where the French had left off. The French also allow Laos the right to its own territorial army that's trained and commanded by the French. Vang Pao will also enlist and join the Laos Territorial Army, and later many of the Hmong serving in the Laos Territorial Army were selected to serve under French Commandos Mixtes Aéroports authorities. In mid-1949, Phaida Lo Bliao contacted Lao Prince Suphanuvang and pledged his loyalty to him. In May 1950, the legendary Hmong warrior Chong Tuamua purchased a jeep and learned how to drive, and became the second Hmong ever to drive a vehicle. The first Hmong to drive a vehicle was Tu Bi Li Fong. That same year Chong Tuamua driving his jeep at night had a rollover down the hill. His son Bliavu went and got help from the French, and immediately the French had him airlifted to Saigon for better medical help, but he died on the way to Saigon. Chong Tuamua was originally from the Vu clan, but when he was still a young boy his parents died, and after his parents died, his Vu clan didn't take care of him, and left him for dead at the farmhouse. The Mua clan pitied the little boy, and took him in, and raised him as their own. Chong Tuamua was the most feared and respected Hmong warrior of his generation. He was the type of men that the younger generation such as Vang Pao look up to, and naturally follow into battles. The French and Tu Bi Li Fong rely on him heavily during times of battles, and his death affected everyone emotionally. During his funeral thousands of Hmong all over northern Laos came to honor him. During the 1950s, Prince Suphanuvang traveled extensively in China and Vietnam to organize resistance in Sam Ngoa, and held his first resistance congress in Viet Bac in the Viet Minh headquarters. On June 25, 1950, North Korea invaded South Korea, and the threat of communist expansion became real. On June 29, 1950, the United States began supplying military equipment to the French in Indochina to fight against the communist Viet Minh. In September of 1951, the United States and the Royal Lao government signed an agreement for economic cooperation. In late 1951, Vang Pao at the age of 21 years old led a team of soldiers made up of mostly Hmong to attack a Viet Minh hideout in the mountains, and kill 13 Viet Minh soldiers, and discover Viet Minh important document and maps describing impending military action against the French. The French then immediately order Vang Pao to lead his troops to attack Viet Minh reinforcement heading to Sop Now. Vang Pao at first went against the order, saying that his troops needed desperate resting, but after back and forth argument, Vang Pao had no choice but to let his troops out that night to attack the Viet Minh. Again Vang Pao led another successful attack against the Viet Minh, and capture more vital enemy documents and maps. The entire time the French thought that Vang Pao was a high-ranking officer, but to their surprise he was just a lowly young soldier with no rank at all. The French was so impressed that they sent Vang Pao and 56 other Hmong soldiers that was with him to Vientiane to enter the entrance examination for officer training school. Vang Pao struggled with the writing assignments but was extremely good at the tactical and operation test, and later became a military officer. In 1953, the Viet Minh went on a major offensive to invade the Laos territories in Sam Ngoa and Phong Sa Ly, and also seize control of the opium field and opium production in that region. After seizing Sam Ngoa and Phong Sa Ly, the Viet Minh launched an even larger military offensive against the Kingdom of Laos, and pushed rapidly westward. The Laos Territorial Army sent thousands of troops to stop the Viet Minh advance. Vang Pao along with over 300 Hmong troops were also scrambled to stop the Viet Minh advance into Luan Prabang. Nong Het also came under attack, forcing all the Hmong people in Nong Het to fled into Chien Quan town. Tu Bi Li Fong later moved many of these Hmong refugees out of the overly populated Chien Quan town to Lat Hoang for a better living condition. By the end of May 1953, the Viet Minh was pushed back by the combined force of the Laos Territorial Army and French troops. The Hmong troops also recaptured Nong Het from the Viet Minh, but at a costly number of Hmong casualties. The Korean War ended on July 27, 1953, in a stalemate. And a stalemate in the eyes of the Viet Minh is a victory, and that inspired the Viet Minh to become even more aggressive.